Lambs among wolves. In Luke 10:3, Jesus says, "Behold, I send you out." He said, "Go your way. Behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves." Now, what exactly was he talking about? Next verse doesn't really explain it. Carry neither purse nor scrip nor shoes, and salute no man by the way. Whatever house you enter, first say peace, be in his house. And it's just a little statement stuck in there between other statements of instruction of how to evangelize. The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few, it says in verse 2. And that's what Jesus was talking about, sending them out 2 by 2. Okay. And he says, "Behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves." So, well, in another place he said that, he said, if somebody smite you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. Well, this is a continuation of that statement. Christ wants no aggression, because aggression stirs up anger, anger stirs up hate. And the Lord has yanked my chain a couple of times as far as being rude to other people. Lord has stopped me in it, even to the point of our hurt. Christ is saying, do this, and he'll make everything come out okay for you in the end. Okay. There's a lot of difference, and I was thinking about the different situations that you can get into in that aspect. But the Lord has promised that he would take care of us, and he has. All of my life I've had the Lord take care of my needs, in one way or another. And I can look back and excuse me, allergies. I can look back in my life and see where I worried extremely without need, and everything came out okay in the end. And God's timing is important as far as the things go that Christ is trying to get done. And it's important that we stay humble and see, because when we get mad, then we begin to force in our will where God's trying to get his done. And there's a lot of things we could do in a different way and probably get things done a little quicker. Oh, excuse me. It's kind of late. I'm tired. Had a hard day today. I actually work for a living. But when we do that, when we interject our thoughts, and the Bible talks about lean not to our own understanding, but in all of our ways acknowledge him. And it talks about he will give us the desires of our heart. If we do that, when we acknowledge him, it says he'll bring it to pass. So, when Christ talks about lambs among wolves, that's exactly what he means. A little lamb it doesn't really know danger, doesn't really know danger. And I remember Lester Summerall talking about a time when he walked into this church, and he talked about some drunk man dying right outside the church. Well, when he said that, the man was drunk and he went to hell because, that's what he believed. He said there was a man that died and went to hell right outside this church a day or so before, whatever it was. And that night, a bunch of his big sons showed up and told Lester that he was going to kill him the next day if he showed up to preach. He said, we're going to kill you right where you said our father went to hell. So the next day, the song leader stayed home. And the pastor, everybody stayed home, nobody wanted to see him die. And so Lester had to do the song service and everything, he said. And when he got up to preach, he said he didn't know him. He said, but some man had a gun pointed right at him. He said, he told him later, I was standing right by that tree and pointed my gun right at you. And Lester got up and he said, at the beginning of the service, he says, if any man comes forth to harm me, he says, I pronounce death on you. And Lester didn't stay home. He said that was a good time to quit. And he didn't stay home, but he presented himself as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. And the Lord saw him through that, And that's what we do. We present ourselves as lambs among wolves. And we pray, and God works things to our favor. We, especially as ministers have to be humble in order to get things done. I've been around a lot of pastors, and I know some that are arrogant, and I really, tell you the truth, I can't hear an arrogant person when it comes to the gospel. You know what I mean? Because they too clash with each other. So, and that's why God says lambs among wolves, because that's what it takes. That's what it takes for us to change people's hearts and their minds. Okay? Alrighty, thank you for joining me. Be back tomorrow with another great subject right here, Crossing the Middle Ministry. God bless.